Nelson, and I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner and the founder of Fuel 21, which is the nutrition program. Calcium is a huge topic for women, and we constantly hear about how we need additional calcium for our bones to prevent osteoporosis. So I want to cover that definitely today and share with you guys a little bit of why calcium is so important and where to get it from food versus having to always supplement with it and not knowing how much to supplement with. So there was a study done by Weston A. Price on lions. And they had these lions that were caged, and they fed them meat every single day, and just protein. They found out that the lions ended up not being able to breed, they weren't fertile, and they suffered major spine problems. Their spine was basically collapsing because they didn't have enough calcium from their diet to have strong bones. So after that, they started feeding them liver and bones to chew on. And all of a sudden the lions became fertile and they were able to breed, and their bones rebuilt and they were structurally sound again. And so the two main differences there, yes, they were getting protein from their diet, which is very important, but the bones and the liver were giving them, bones were giving them calcium, and then the liver was giving them vitamin A. And those two things work synergistically with the protein that you eat. So your bones are actually made of protein and fat and calcium and all the other minerals. We start to see problems when we have a diet that's low in protein and fat. And also other problems start to arise whenever we aren't getting any kind of calcium-rich foods, and we may work out excessively and we need that calcium in order to recover, and we start pulling the calcium from the bones and we're left with a hollow bone structure. As young women, we're also not told that as we age, we are supposed to gain weight every single decade. What's happening when you get on the scale and you get worried because every single year it seems like you gain a little bit of weight, that's a good thing. That means that you're eating a diet that's high in protein and fat, and you're starting to fill your bones up and they're becoming nutrient or very, very dense. The problem is we sacrifice our health because of the scale. And we look at the scale and we want to lose weight, and the easiest way to do that sometimes is to calorie restrict and go low protein, low fat. And the scale does drop, but what the problem is those bones are never filling, and then we start to have hollow bones. And that's where you start to get osteoporosis. So in order to get enough calcium, one of the densest places you can find it is a bone broth. And bone broth is something that you're going to make at home, and sometimes it might seem scary for someone that's never done this before, but it's been done for years and years, and it's probably what your grandmother made all the time. You can do a variety of different bones. In fact, I encourage you to use different bones because you're going to get different minerals from different animals. And the best thing to do is to make a big batch of this and freeze it in an ice cube tray. And then you could have this ice cube tray in your freezer and then just pull out whatever you need and reheat it on the stove. If you can have that on a weekly basis, you're going to be getting a great source of minerals. The other thing that's would be helpful is to go to what the lions were eating, which was liver. So if you could eat some liver once a week, that's also going to give you a high dose of vitamin A, which is going to help with the absorption of the calcium into the diet. So the next thing we're going to talk about is soy and the many dangers of soy. Soy has been marketed to us as a healthy food, and it's actually found everywhere. If you look at most products on the shelves, there's usually soy listed in the ingredient. We're surrounded by it, but everyone thinks that, or most of us think that it's an okay item to eat. And so what I'm going to do today is tell you what the dangers are of soy and why you should avoid it as much as possible, if not completely altogether. The very first thing is soy is a phytoestrogen. And what a phytoestrogen is a group of female sex hormones that mimic the hormone estrogen. And so when you eat something that, if you eat soy, you're basically giving your body a nice high dose of estrogen, or seemingly it thinks it's getting estrogen. What that does is it increases your estrogen levels, and if your progesterone, which is the opposite hormone, working in a delicate balance is down, you get what's called estrogen dominance. Estrogen dominance can lead to many diseases for women. It also is a major problem with men who are starting to develop female characteristics and decreased libido, decreased sex drive. Some of the diseases, I only listed maybe about half of them up here. Breast cancer is one of the biggest ones. Breast tenderness, cervical dysplasia, decreased sex drive, depression, anxiety, early onset of menstruation, uterine cancer, fat gain, fatigue, hypoglycemia, infertility, irregular menstruation, PMS, mood swings, and much more. And that's all just from having that estrogen dominance. Now some things are said, well, if my estrogen's low, I should have a high diet of soy because that's going to raise my estrogen up. The problem with that is that the soy that we get in America especially is genetically modified. And genetically modified basically means they took the genes and chromosomes and tweaked them, changed them, so that they could withstand harsh chemicals. And so there's more pesticides and toxins going on to the soy plant, and it's able to withstand it. So you can think of it as like if you were going to eat a piece of chicken, it's been doused in bleach. That's made from soy. So definitely toxic, definitely not what you want to have going into your system. The last thing is soybeans are highly processed, and they're bleached, acid washed, and burned into submission. Anything that's highly processed like this is not going to have any source of nutrients for us. It's only going to be harmful to our health. Some other really disturbing things is that you're starting to see soy formulas for infants. And infants are, they rely on us. They rely on us for healthy nutrition. What's happening is that if you give an infant soy formula, that's equivalent to an infant getting 4 to 10 birth controls every single time. And that's insane. So you're starting to see early menstruation starting, and girls as early as 6 years old starting to have breast tissue develop, and they start their menstruation at 6 years old. And this is because of that increase in estrogen. So if you can avoid soy, that's one of the #1 things, besides gluten, that I would have you avoid.